Hey everyone, Nick from Nick's Crossing here, and welcome to the train room. And guys, in this video today, we'll be working with something I'm really not too familiar with. I'm going out of my comfort zone here, doing something completely new on the channel, and that is the world of weathering. Yes, I plan on weathering a steam engine in this video. And to help us with that, guys, I picked up this brand new airbrush kit from Avanti. This is a Harbor Freight kit right here. It comes with a brush, an air compressor, the hose that goes to it, a couple other tools in here, and we'll be airbrushing one of my favorite steam engines in my collection, so I definitely cannot screw this up. That is my G5s from MTH Electric Trains. So let's get into this video, guys. Here we go. All aboard. Alrighty, guys, so I'm going into the vast world of weathering. So there's a couple things here. I'm going to set some parameters to start. First off, guys, I will not be weathering anything pre- or post-war, anything recreation. What I'll be weathering are pieces that are modern, that has the newer technology in it, the more scale head pieces. But anything toy or reproduction, no, definitely not weathering those. They are staying as is in the collection as beautiful toy trains that I absolutely love and enjoy to this day. Like the Hiawatha set I featured not too long ago on the channel. But a couple things about weathering, guys. There are two sides of this, and it's kind of an endless Pandora's box as well. So first off, you can do the extreme, you can do the minimum, you can go right between, and I've seen a lot of like way over weathered pieces in my time in the model railroad hobby. It just kind of turns me off to it. I would like to just get a nice dirt scale like on my locomotives, a little bit of rust here and there, nothing too crazy. So that's one thing. And the other thing too is it's like a Pandora's box, is once you start weathering engines, they need to start weathering cars to go with it. So this may be like the never-ending story of weathering up here. I've got a couple hundred pieces of rolling stock now, and what I plan on doing is actually building a train, starting with the engine, pick a couple cars and a caboose, and then go from there to run as a set until I can start weathering entire pieces of my collection. So those are my parameters for this weathering project. Now, before I even start weathering, before I even open up this box, crack the paint open, get the engine on the track that we'll be messing with, I'd like to talk about weathering in general. So first off, the period of this layout is like 1920 to 1950. So we're gonna go with early steam era pieces. I will be weathering my steam engines to look like they're just being used, not, they're not too old, not too rusty, just being in use every day. So that's oil, dirt, grime, soot, that type of thing. You will get a little bit of rust on like some wheel parts, like maybe like the leaf springs, do like a wash, the couplers, any wear points. Grab irons get a little rusty over time. And that's pretty much it that I want to add rust to. Everything will just be painted in grime. I also want to do some other color soots or scaling on the engine itself. Now, it also depends on what you're weathering, guys. So it's not just steam engines. If you're weathering diesels, a diesel will have different type of weathering than a steam engine. Electric will have different weathering as well. So it's very subjective, and it's also very personal. So painting's very like personal. So my weathering is going to be different than someone else's interpretation of weathering as well. But we're here just to have fun, not criticizing any particular piece that I've seen or whatnot. I just want to put it out there, I just don't want to overdo it and create a rusty mess. Now, I have seen engines in the later steam engine period in the 1950s that are just covered in rust, but we'll not be doing that on this channel. We're just doing a grime coat over my steam engines. Alrighty, guys, so this is my H9S. I actually weathered the other night, and I plan on doing a little bit more detail work to her. I would like to add some scaling here near the sand dome. Also a little bit of scaling rust near the bell mechanism, and also our blow-off valves, so a little bit of scaling there as well. A little bit of rust on the front and rear couplers, but other than that, this is pretty much how I'd like to weather the other pieces in the collection. Just getting a nice grime oil coat over everything, making it look like a dirty working steam engine right there. Now, this was actually airbrushed with an Amazon kit. The brush and compressor decided to quit on me yesterday, so that's why I ran out and purchased the Harbor Freight kit that I've heard decent things about. So let's get into this airbrush kit. All right, guys, so let's unbox this Avanti kit. So on the side it says it gets extra fine detail, wide detail and medium detail. Ooh, so very descriptive there. But if we open this up on the side, it's almost like a Makita blue color. Let's see. All right, everything's in a foam like shell. Here's a little advertising pamphlet right there for Avanti. And hopefully this kit's never been opened before, but the foam is opened. It did have tape over the box, so let's see what we got. Let's see, here's our airbrush. Now this kit gives you a top load feed airbrush. Looks like that. So you load the paint media in this cup here, and it's meant to be held at an angle, but the cap is allegedly supposed to keep almost like a suction on the material, so it pulls it through the brush. Now this is very similar to the Amazon one that I just had. It does give you an eyedropper, which is nice. I guess you can do that to mix your thinners and such. Looks like it comes with a tool. Yeah, a little multi-tool right here, wrench, mini wrench. That's kind of nice. So it does give you a nice box. That's kind of cool. And here is your airbrush. This is metal, which is cool. I thought this was plastic. This is actually metal on the back. This adjuster, fine adjustment for your trigger, is also metal. The cap should pull right off. Yep. And I think this design's been bootlegged by like every Chinese company in the world. So about 90% of these brushes are the same. Now, before we get into the other stuff in the kit, I did buy the siphon feed brush as well. This is an Avanti. And Harbor Freight does sell a premium brand airbrush called like the Black Widow or something like that. It looked kind of cool. It just was $100 more than this. So I'm like, no, let's just do the cheap one first. And the compressor was huge. It was meant for 2 guns, and it was just absolutely ginormous. All right, let's open up the rest. It says super quiet motor, so that's reassuring. All right. Avanti Airbrush compressor, 120 volts, 60 hertz, 1 amp. So that's good. That's not too crazy. Indoor household use only. Get a little handle right here. It says on the back you can store your brushes. So let's see. I mean, front load. Yeah, that's actually kind of nice. It stores your brushes right on top. To set your pressure on these, you look at the gauge right here. You pull this out and then you twist to what you want and you pop it back. So that's kind of cool. Get a nice little filter. This is actually to separate moisture from your airflow, so you get nice dry air. And there's a cup at the bottom. You can empty it out. You just hold it in when you empty the tank out. Now these don't really have a reservoir. It kind of just stores it internally, I guess, or as it pumps it. So it's one thing to keep in mind. It does not have a reservoir. My other Amazon kit did not have these. This has a quick connect. So all you do is this, just it's in, that's it. So I do like that a lot. You can store your brush there. The Amazon one I had, just you had to unscrew it every time, which is really annoying. And then this hose is 10 feet. Yeah, that's about 10 feet. So this plugs into, it should be the side, on the other side. Yep, here it is. Only complaint so far, guys, I really wish this was on a 90, so you don't have this just hanging out in the wind. But let's see. All right, let's fire this up and see what it can do. All right, guys, this is all hooked up, and the airbrush, you actually adjust the volume of paint using this back piece here, this set screw, and you can actually lock the trigger in so paint won't come out. There's the compressor, and I'm at around, if this is correct, 60 psi or so. And it's maintaining right around 40 psi, which is like twice as the amount of power that the other compressor had that I was running from Amazon. That could put out about 20 psi. So having a thicker paint in there, it was just suffering the whole time. So I'm gonna actually add some paint, see if I have to actually dilute this down. So we're using a Microlux custom blended finish flat hobby acrylics for brush application. So it already is ready for brushing. So I don't understand why it did what it did. And let me show you guys one of my favorite new tools of the collection here. and that is this airbrush mixer right here, paint mixer. This is so cool. I know they make these for like soups and stews, but this is like a mini version, and you just hit the handle and it spins. So what you do, you just add this to your paint and stir. It's as easy as that. Keep it nice and low, and you can actually get to almost the bottom of these plastic bottles, and it just mixes your paint for you. All right, guys, so here is our PRR G5s locomotive that we'll be weathering. So I'm using the Microlux custom blended brush applicator paint right here. I bought this up at Iron Horse Trains. Really good stuff, looks amazing. I did have to dilute it just a hair, and to dilute, I just used a little bit of alcohol. Now, before painting this locomotive, we want to make sure all the dirt and grime is off, which is kind of ironic, but we want a nice paint surface here. I can see some dust and crumbs over this thing. It's been sitting out for a while, so they're doing construction up here on the layout. So just take a makeup brush. This is like a dollar store makeup brush right here, and just clean some stuff off. Make it look pretty. And this engine is a gorgeous piece, and that's why I'd like to weather it. So there we go. Hopefully we got everything almost off. Clean the wheels, front, and there we go. Sweet. All right, so let us spray. And to test out the airbrush, guys, I use like a shop rag right here. You can see a little bit of the paint on there, just a little bit of the crud. And I want to get a nice even spray. You also have to listen for the airbrush. So when you start to hear like almost like a water sound, that's the paint actually coming out of the brush. So let me actually open this brush up a little bit more. You'll start to hear like a high pitch, like it's really hard to explain, like a moisture sound coming out of the spray gun here. So really quick, let me try to brush the roof so you guys can see. Just doing a really thin layer of paint on the roof. Alrighty guys, so our engine is, in my standards, 100% weathered to what I'd like to do on the railroad. So first off, let me actually turn the engine volume down a little bit. I've been running this up here, doing some YouTube shorts and some extra filming for this video. And guys, this thing's running great. Even with the, the running gear assembly painted, you can see some of it back here. Everything's running nice and smooth. The paint that we put on there is drying, but I like to leave them set for about 24 hours or so before actually handling the locomotive and tender. There are some finger spots on there, but they actually don't look too bad. It looks like oil spots, so I'm going to leave those on the tender that happened, not so much on the engine. Now, a couple things that I added. I actually have a weather kit. It's back here, and also picked this up at Iron Horse Trains. These are weather powders, and I forgot who this is, like Dr. Marvel's kit or something, or mystery kit or something like that. I forgot the name on these. I'm sure you guys out there know exactly who makes these, but you get all of these in one kit. The kit's like $35 or something like that, and you get all kinds of powders. So what I did was I used a mix of 3 different powders. So up top, I used a powdered white, and their description is highlight white. Now this is to simulate extra sand and the sand dome getting caught underneath of these, because honestly this would all be kind of wet and oily up here from the steam locomotive. On the electrical box here, I believe there used to be batteries in here. There's a circuit breaker. I've seen them at the museum, like taking a peek in them, and that's where all the electronics would be for your headlight, and also marker light assemblies coming from your generator up here. Now that I did a little bit of a rust cover, or like a rust coat to it, because those batteries would often leak acid and cause a little bit of corrosion. So I did that, thought that was kind of cool. And then on our front coupler assembly, I did add some rust. Let me back our locomotive up a little bit. Let's get official here. Let's do 3 toots. All right. And if you guys can see it, I'll show you guys the front of the locomotive. All right, guys, this is the front of the locomotive's coupler. It's a scale coupler size, so it's a little bit smaller than the O-gauge coupler. But on the coupler and plow, I added a little bit of powdered rust. And for that color, I used rusty brown. I didn't go for the red. So from my understanding, like just a rust coat is usually like a brightish brown color, not like a red. Reds are usually like deep, heavy rust. And this is just like a coating of rust. Like they may not use this coupler a whole lot. So on the side of the locomotive, also did something similar. And that would be like on our air pump right here. Just on top of the air pump, I just did a really light coating of red rust. Now, if we go to our tender while we're zoomed in, on the trucks, I did a little bit of that rust color as well. This, I could actually work this out right here. It's a little too much there, but it's fine. The powder does wear off a little bit through time, but it does stick. It's like a makeup powder, so it sticks to like everything. I've spilled weathering powder on the carpet up here, and it's still there to this day, and that was like a year ago. So it is what it is. But those are the details that I've added to our engine. And then while I was at it, when I was cleaning up our brush, I had a little bit of extra paint left in our airbrush, and I airbrushed just a scale coat on this beautiful Western Maryland die-cast hopper from Atlas. And look at that, just that little bit of crud really goes a long way. Now, Atlas already made these trucks that rusty brown color, so all I did was just use a little bit of grime. I forgot to also discuss the rear coupler of our locomotive. The O-gauge coupler has also been coated in a metallic rust weathering powder. Alrighty guys, so this Avanti sprayer unit did absolutely amazing for this job. I was really impressed with the control and also the spray volume of the airbrush itself. This is the one that comes in the box. I did not have to open the siphon system. This is for like larger projects because you get this huge bottle reservoir on here. So I'm like, you know what, before we get into that, let's try out the little cup reservoir. And this uses a vacuum style system to pull paint through rather than pulling it up through a bottle. So a little bit less, you know, to clean up and all of that. But once this was dialed in, it did great. I had to dilute the paint just a hair, but this stuff, this Microlux stuff is very thick. So I just used denatured alcohol, then used my paint stirrer inside the cup of this. So I just did that, stirred up my paint really carefully, put the cap on, cap's right here, and then gave it a couple shakes. It was good to go. Cleaning the airbrush was very easy. I just used acetone, which is basically nail polish remover, from Equate, which is Walmart's brand. This is my dirty bottle, so I have a clean bottle. So clean bottle's by the desk. So I have 2 bottles of acetone. This one is strictly for cleaning brushes that are like expensive, whatever. And then my other bottle is to clean airbrushes. So I run the fluid through until it turns clear. Then after that, I like using denatured alcohol to make sure everything's out of there. And now we have a nice, clean, shiny airbrush, no paint left in there. And that's just the reflection on the inside. It's like, wait a minute. Nope, that's just a reflection. So this airbrush is ready to go for the next job, nice and clean. I'm only using water-based paints with the airbrush. I don't want to put anything else in the air up here. I don't need a spray booth. It's just such a small job. But if I was doing like really big projects like buildings and stuff, yeah, I'd build a spray booth for up here or a portable one. But honestly, guys, this Avanti system, this is not a sponsor of the channel, I promise. I'm not sponsored by Harbor Freight, but I am very impressed with this tool and for what it did for the job. Alrighty, guys, so let's talk about this G5s locomotive. So first off, I'm very happy with the way it looks. It looks great. It gave me goosebumps riding it by my weathered engine shed in the video here. I was getting like goosebumps, like, man, this looks so good. But it just shows you just a little bit of this stuff right here and some powder, basically makeup powder you guys can buy from Walmart. You don't need these fancy powders. You can go get makeup powder. And they have makeup powder in every color nowadays, like the whole rainbow and weather powders you can get from like Walmart's makeup counter. So it's really cool. So yes, I plan on weathering more cars like this to run with like the G5 and my H9 that's on the track back there. So stay tuned for more videos like this, guys. I had a lot of fun making this video. It took forever. What's it? It's what, 4:30 on Sunday here. I started this video at like 12. So it did take some time to set this up and get it ready, but it was definitely worth it. But anyways, guys, if you're new to the channel and enjoyed this type of content and other stuff, like we do reviews and other model building on this channel, make sure to hit subscribe, leave a comment below, leave a like. It's the easiest thing to do. Till next time, everyone, happy railroading. Enjoy your model railroads. Happy railroading. We'll see you next time. See you guys.